A lot of rice snacks, rice cake is how I know them. It's kind of like gooey rice. I'm gonna give you a travel tip. Do not buy train tickets. That's a lot of stairs. And when I'm in Japan, people ask me for directions. When I'm in Korea, they think I'm Korean. When I'm in China, they think I'm Yao Ming. Hey, it's Tom from Red Dragon Diaries, and I'm here in Beijing at the Yonghe Lamasery, aka Yonghe Temple, aka Lama Temple. So what makes this temple unique is that the design and architecture of the temple buildings are a mixture of Tibetan and Han Chinese Buddhist styling. So one thing that I wasn't always aware of until I started traveling more was that when you're looking up these locations to go visit, and you see it says temple or something like that, like in my mind, I initially had thought that means like a temple is like a building, like a church or something like that. But in many cases, like in the East Asian countries, when you see that, it's actually like a compound that consists of several worship halls, and in this case, that's what's included in here. 4 or 5 major halls that are different themed, like peace and harmony or happiness and things of that nature. Another thing that I was unaware of, and this happens from time to time, and there's really no way around it because although we call them tourist or travel attractions, places like this, like a temple or something like that, they're not always necessarily meant for travelers. This is a place of worship for Buddhists and things like that. But as you're coming here, it's very difficult to know when things are happening at that location, e.g. when they're doing major construction on like the main hall that you came to visit. And that's kind of a bummer. But there's really no way, I shouldn't say that there's no way, but it would be difficult for you to know that before coming here. This is a drum tower built in 1744. Has a big drum that's used for Buddhist rituals. I don't think I've ever visited a temple where there was quite this much incense being burned. And the incense is being burned as they present their prayers and requests and best wishes as they purpose to do. But there's definitely a lot of incense being burned here, which tells me that there's heavy traffic here. And I think this is, from what I've read, you can Google it, that it's the most highly visited temple in the city. Well, there you have it. The Yonghe Lamasery, Yonghe Gong Lama Temple. It goes by many names, but that was a very nice Tibetan and Han Chinese temple here in the middle of Beijing. Here's Beijing railway station. Today I'm going to be heading up to Mutianyu section of the Great Wall. Here's what the inside of Beijing railway station looks like. And to prepare for your trip, you have a huge assortment of snackages here. Going from one end to the other. A lot of rice snacks, rice cake is how I know them. It's kind of like gooey rice, like rubbery. I grew up eating that kind of stuff. Chinese pastries. I don't know exactly what these are, but a lot of them are just like bread, but many of them are filled with like taro or red bean or something like that. It's not crazy sweet like what we might be used to back home.
开往到承德站方向去的快速7711次列车，全长256千米。
Enjoying some countryside views here. Also got my Kindle. What book am I reading? See if you can read this. For the teachers out there, this is called The Daily Five, Fostering Literacy Independence in the Elementary Grades. Not the most entertaining. I think we're going to be okay today. It's a little overcast, which I am perfectly okay with, although it's not the most scenic, beautiful way to do it, but I've been sweating and burning so much in the sun the first few days here. It's nice and cool right now, and I'm 100% okay with that. These are the Great Wall of China mascots. Hey, little kitties. Well, even though it's a little bit cloudy, I am happy and proud to say that I am finally at the Great Wall of China. Have you ever seen that picture, Expectation versus Reality? And it shows a picture of the Great Wall of China. Expectation is, you know, this beautiful picture with like nobody on it, and then the next one is just a massive crowd of tours and whatnot. Well, I got here at the right hour, and maybe it's the right time of year. But there's like nobody here right now, and I think that that's a beautiful thing. Folks, here's a little travel tip for you if you come to the Mutianyu portion of the Great Wall. Over yonder, you're going to see these cable cars. So if you buy a ticket to come up here, make sure you get the cable car, the enclosed box, because that's going to bring you to the higher point of Mutianyu, and then you can take the ski lift down, because the ski lift doesn't go quite as high. And this is the other way you can get down to the bottom. Right now I'm at the Temple of Heaven, and I decided to come here later in the day. First of all, so I don't fry to death. It's hot. Souvenir shop. Very glad that I came later in the day. Like I anticipated, the heat is far more manageable. And as you can see, the crowd is very, very average. We're about to enter the Imperial Vault of Heaven. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but you can see the dings up top, and you can kind of see that it's weathered, and I kind of prefer seeing it that way. Okay, now we're heading into the grounds of the Fasting Palace. I would assume that as part of their religious beliefs and practices, fasting was part of it, and maybe this is where they came during their fasting to lift up their prayers to heaven. The grounds here are kind of heavenly themselves. I am definitely glad that I came at this time of the day. It's quiet. and it's not super duper hot. And just the way the sunlight kind of sets here makes it a little bit nicer, in my opinion. It's nice here. This is the beamless hall, purportedly made out of brick, but with no beams, no supporting beams. So whatever style of construction they used, it was done without beams. This looks like obviously some type of bell tower that is within the walls or right outside of the walls of the fasting palace. I've seen quite a few people running in this park, which, first of all, this would be a nice park to run in. There's so many trees, it's very muffled, very nice, peaceful, clean. The Hall of Prayer for Good Harvests. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Salle des prières pour la bonne moisson. Tout le monde. We are there at the gate of the good harvest in this beautiful garden, indicative of prayers being met for a good harvest, possibly. A lot of marigolds in there. Wow. That is an amazing sight. I can see why it's one of the very top attractions in all of China. I wish I could show it to you. That was more amazing than I could have imagined. I really wish I could have shown it to you. If you could only see it. I really want to get a close-up here for you. I hope it comes out in the footage. Got some real intricate images and drawings. We got like dragons, dragons and cranes. It's so much nicer if you ever do visit Beijing. I highly recommend that you plan your time accordingly. I know everyone's usually strapped for time, but come to a place like this later in the day, better sunlight, and less crowded. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Temple of Heaven in Beijing. Welcome back. I'm at the Summer Palace now. And before I get started, just a word to the wise. Don't go to the Forbidden City unless you buy your tickets online first. Otherwise, you're going to go all the way there and you're going to get rejected, like I did. So make sure you do that. But anyway, Summer Palace, here we go. As you can see, I have the earpiece in here, the automated tour guide in English. They have a whole bunch of languages. I forget how many there are. But just judging by this sign right here, you can get an idea who the biggest visitors are. Obviously, the Chinese are going to be the most. English-speaking countries, Korean, and Japanese. Amazingly, I have stumbled upon the home of Gandalf. Here at the Summer Palace. Here's a couple general tips for you. If you plan on coming to visit Beijing, especially places like the Summer Palace, you're going to want to put in some time on the treadmill. I know you think it sounds funny, but what's going to end up happening is, if you're not really in shape, you're going to get halfway through seeing the really good stuff, and your mind's going to start saying, I don't really think I need to see all that. And you're going to back out because it's going to test your stamina. Second thing is, if you bring a camera or you got a nice phone that you're going to be taking pictures with, carry it in your right hand. You laugh now. But everyone's going to be walking on your left side. And the whole concept of personal space is slightly different here in China. And you're going to come close to getting it knocked out of your hand on many occasions. Right hand. It's quite an epic shot right there. So this super cool looking hall up on the hill is called the Hall of Dispelling Clouds. It says it was originally burned down by French Allied forces and rebuilt to celebrate birthdays. Hall of Dispelling Clouds. Stairs. You want to get up there to see that temple? You gotta walk the stairs. You better be in shape. Stairs. Whew. I want to capture this moment as it happens. That's a lot of stairs. Let me show you how high up in the air we are. And I didn't stop. The stairs started on the other side. That's where we were in the beginning. That's a lot of stairs. But here we go at the lake. You can see why they would want to climb all the way up here. It's a beautiful view, and it's a great CrossFit exercise. After walking up all those stairs, there's a lot of grumpy kids up here. I just counted the steps, 220 steps. I don't know how many stories that is, but it sure felt like a lot. You can tell me how many floors that would be, but I went straight up. Maybe a few seconds rest here and there, but I don't have to do legs for a while. Those are the boats you can take across the lake. This is a boat that's not really a boat. It's actually a pavilion made out of stone that was just built in the shape of a boat. It's pretty cool. Xingqiao. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Xing Bridge. Derived from a verse line of a famous poem, banana plants randomly afloat, I gather them here and there. Let's walk across the banana plant bridge. Again, I like how these are not so perfectly restored. It's a nice breeze coming through this little walkway here. So this whole entire summer palace kind of reminds me, a little reminiscent of, and I can't remember the palace name in Seoul, but as you go behind the main palace area, there's like this summer cottage, I think it's called, where the king at that time would go to enjoy peace and quiet away from their kingly responsibilities. Those guys had big mouths. When I was up on that cloud temple, way at the top of those stairs, I was waiting for my turn to take a picture, and I was leaning against the building, and as I did, my hat stuck to the paint and ripped some of the paint off of it. I don't know if the paint got weak from because it's extremely humid here. It's not super duper hot, but it's pretty hot here. So now I have a souvenir. I have some paint from the Summer Palace Cloud Temple. I forget what it was called off the top of my head. It's the little things. There's the paint right there. My special souvenir from the Summer Palace. That guy's got a really thick Beijing accent. I don't know much, but I know what a Beijing accent sounds like. That's a lot of lilies right there. Can't say I've seen anything like this before. That's pretty amazing. It's hard for me to believe that nobody has fallen down these stairs. Look how steep these stairs are. I'm about halfway around the lake. I love seeing these types of things here, where they haven't been redone yet. They're just all weathered and kind of battered. And I just like to see that form. I don't know if they have plans to fix it, or if they're just going to leave it in this state, which I hope they do, because there's plenty that have been renovated and rebuilt. So it'd be nice to see some that stay this way. Well, I can say that I finally made it. Completed the task. Summer Palace. Don't miss it. Alright, I just came out of Lama Temple, which is this compound right here. And this is a very nice neighborhood with a lot of nice shops up and down the street here. But I'm actually going to go down this street, which is a very historical street. It's called Guozijian. And you're going to see, I'm going to take my rent-a-bike. I love these things. And I'm going to go down this nice tree-lined historical street getting run over by a Range Rover. She doesn't have a care in the world. So you come out of the Lama Temple and you can spend the afternoon here with some of these shops, and then as you get down the street here, you're going to come across the Confucius historical site or academy. I came to find out that the brakes on my bike didn't work too well, but I arrived safely. And this here is the Temple of Confucius and Guozijian Museum. All right, we got this thing spelled out here. It looks like the halls of achievement, different halls, exhibitions, and things like that you'll be able to see here, memorial shrines and whatnot. But according to this sign here, the essence of this visit is the Imperial College, which is Guozijian. So I'm going to head down this way, and hopefully that brings me to where I want to go. So the signs here are very informative, which is not always the case, but this front gate is Taishui, and apparently it's the front gate to Guozijian, which is the Imperial College. Let's move on. Got some fish, flower petals, and this definitely makes up for the Lama Temple construction site being shut down, that I couldn't see the that main hall. Student life will never change. These are old educational relics from this Imperial College, but unfortunately not a whole lot of it is translated, so I can't really share it with you. Yilun Hall says that it served as a college library after it was rebuilt. It was where the emperor delivered lectures, and the inscriptions above the door that I'll show you in a moment are in Qing Emperor Kangxi's calligraphy, which I do believe is that right there. And this is Yilun Library and Lecture Hall. You missed. Her wish will not come true. It's a rough day. Dacheng Hall. This is the main structure of the Temple of Confucius, where Confucius was enshrined and worshipped by emperors. This is really a massive, incredible building here. This tour just blitzed its way in there, so I'm going to come back. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos and pandemonium. This courtyard is quite impressive. It has a series of these structures that contain these large monoliths with inscriptions on them, probably some type of decree or statement, and they're really interesting to see. Also in this courtyard are these trees, and you might ask, what's so special about trees? These trees here are extremely old. How old are they? Well, this sign over here says that that cypress tree right there is over 700 years old. That's an old tree. It's probably got some very deep roots, much like this country. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Guozijian. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I definitely recommend stopping by here if you ever make it this way, this part of the world. And let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. Now where I am is I'm at a historical area of the city, and there's several of them, and this is called a Hutong. These are old neighborhoods with very narrow streets. Many of the streets are really where people live, and it's a little bit awkward to kind of walk down them and bump into people like without their shirt on, hanging up their laundry or something like that. Why so specific? Because that's exactly what happened to me.
哟，这吹个什么？吹个啥？
吹随便吹个老虎。这是喜欢的吗？
来，手拿着吹，开始。吹，好停，再吹，轻一点啊，轻轻的，吹。
编你们自己的名字，喜欢的就做一个，喜欢的写上自己的名字，把你的名字标在上面，
吹，
画个图包，你的纪念，
好停。
很有意义的。见证这些。
来，自己吹糖人啊，好吃好玩的啊。再吹，轻一点，吹，加油，
喜欢的做一个。
加油，好停。
他喜欢的嘛，下面大箱、小箱都有。
那个89，来拿着我一会儿，在这儿扫码啊。
哎，这有自个儿家房子搁这儿，因为这儿旅游的人比较多，还是比较方便的哈。对，
这不是最严重房子一个。
A lot of tuk-tuks here in China, I've noticed. I don't know what they're called in Chinese, but they have these little cars. That's probably a personal vehicle, but they do have a lot of these cabbie kind of people that use these little vehicles to get you around. Kind of cool. I don't know if I would fit in there. As I'm walking through these little back neighborhoods and these little winding streets of this Hutong, I'm going to give you a travel tip. Do not buy train tickets from those Travel China sites. I'm not going to mention any of them, but a lot of them you can buy train tickets and entrance passes and things like that. They are adding an enormous servicing fee on top of that. Case in point, I bought tickets, train tickets to go to the Great Wall, the Mutianyu section of the wall, I bought it from one of those sites. I don't know why I did that. Wouldn't you know, because of rain, the train tickets got delayed, which would not give me enough time to make it back and make the train coming home that I had bought. So I had to cancel it. When I canceled it, the amount of money that I got back and I found out at the train station was a fraction. I spent $15 for to and from, which is not bad in and of itself. But they actually only cost about $3. A lot of upkeep happening right now on some of these attractions. This is the Beijing Drum Tower. Here is the bell tower. Look how beautiful it is. It's a giant green screen. It can be whatever you want it to be. Well, if we could see the bell, we would be able to bear witness to the fact that it's the heaviest and biggest ancient bell in China. It weighs approximately 63 tons. Being that I'm living in China right now, I get to experience the pandemic firsthand here on the other side of the world from my home, probably from where you're watching this. And even within China, if there is a flare-up somewhere, our health code tells us, or tells everybody, where we've passed through. It tells us our testing history and stuff like that. But if there is a flare-up somewhere and we happen to pass through it, or we happen to be from that city, in order to get on a plane and go to another city, you have to usually get a test within 48 hours of going to that place to prove that you're clean. Sometimes a co-worker of mine just found out he went to Xinjiang, and because we hail from Dongguan, which has had a recent small flare-up, he had to do, even though he had the test, and even though he was clean, he had to do a 14-day quarantine, otherwise hit the bricks. So he chose to hit the bricks. I don't think anybody's playing that game right now. They're just looking at me like I'm from another country or something. Actually, it's kind of funny because in my travel endeavors or my teaching endeavors, depending on where the country is, people usually absorb me, the locals do, as one of theirs, just because I look the part. And when I'm in Japan, people ask me for directions. When I'm in Korea, they think I'm Korean. When I'm in China, they think I'm Yao Ming. I guess as it applies to me, we Asians really all do look the same. At least to each other. I'm here at Jinshan Park, which is at the top of a hill that overlooks the Forbidden City. And I just got caught in a rainstorm, so I'm a little damp right now. And at the top of this hill, you're going to be able to get good views of the Forbidden City. And in my case, that's important because the Forbidden City tickets are sold out for 6 days, and I'll be gone by then. So, in lieu of that, I'm going to try and get some nice pictures here. This is actually my second time being here. I came here about 3 years ago with the school that I'm working for on a student trip, and at that time we were actually able to go up on that platform, and it looks like they've closed it off probably for renovations, or maybe they're not going to open it up again because all the people trampling over the boards and everything are wearing it out. There it is, that's the Forbidden City down there, and you can see that it is huge. I also went there 3 years ago. Problem is, it's very difficult to see it all in one day. You could probably run through it and just kind of eyeball everything, but if you want to kind of go inside, take a few pictures, take your time, read some of the signs, it's like a 2-day trip. So I figure while I'm here, I might as well take my video selfie, proving that I was at the Forbidden City lookout. Not really at the Forbidden City. And rain or shine, no matter where you visit, you're going to be with a lot of other people that want to visit the same things. So Jinshan Park is a quick hit. It's really meant to, after you go through the Forbidden City, you come up here and you can take your selfies, get a whole view of the entire Palace Museum. But in my case, I just have to settle for this. But this is really a quick hit. Bada bing, bada boom. And that was Jinshan Park. And that brings me back to my hotel room. And it marks the end of my trip to Beijing. I really hope you enjoyed walking through this lovely city with me, and if you did enjoy the video, if you could do me a favor and just hit the like button, that really helps me out a lot. Again, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. My name is Tom Gates, and this is the Red Dragon Diaries.